It's a novel idea, a comic book about the United Nations, or more precisely, about its failure to mediate an end to the war in Syria. French journalist Karim Lebhour moved to New York shortly before the conflict began. After more than 100 Security Council meetings and countless questions at the press stakeout, Karim decided the best way to tell the story was in a graphic novel. So he teamed up with two French illustrators.
At the UN, most of the things happen behind the scene. So it's a close consultation of the Security Council, like here, it's diplomats speaking off the record in the corridors of the UN. In a graphic novel like this one, it's much easier to actually recreate the scene.
This peek behind the scenes reveals verbal ping-pong matches and some colourful language. Today, the topic of conversation in the corridors of the Security Council is Karim's comic book. The Syrian and French ambassadors are curious to see how they're portrayed.
Oh no, that doesn't look like me at all. Perhaps it's for the best.
So you don't think the comic book is making light of a serious subject, do you?
No, not at all, because it's very serious at times, and you also show the suffering of the Syrian people. And when you ridicule diplomats, well, they deserve it, but I don't think they are ridiculous. They're doing their best.
The graphic novel depicts a diplomatic game of chess with terrible and tragic consequences. Is the UN to blame? Has the Secretary-General's brand of quiet diplomacy failed?
Some of the depictions, from our point of view, are going a little bit over the top, but that is a way of introducing the story and making it interesting. Think about the fact that the UN is the only institution worldwide that looks after nearly 10 million refugees or internally displaced Syrians.
Will those in favour of the draft resolution contained in document...
There have been some rare moments of unity on Syria at the UN, a humanitarian resolution this year and a resolution last autumn calling on the Syrian government to destroy its arsenal of chemical weapons. But despite diplomats' efforts to stop the conflict, on the ground in Syria, the violence continues.